Today, we are going to take you for a joyride while at the same time learning a bit of history of this notable Pashtun heartland. Let's start from this bridge, crossing the Swat Valley motorway along Babusai village near the Katlang interchange. As we are on our way to Mingora in Swat Valley, we have to pass through these villages along the Palai lowland areas, then climb up onto the Charat Palai top road, which is part of the Malakand District, before finally reaching the Thana Road, the boundary between the Swat Valley and the Malakand District. Palai is an administrative unit known as Union Council, known locally as tehsil of the Malakand District, within the Malakand Division in the province of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in North Pakistan. This place is famous for its premium quality oranges. Throughout Pakistan, Palai and the surrounding villages of the Malakand District are famous for its fine quality produce. This includes fruits such as peaches, Guavas, and the all-famous Palai Orange, amongst many of other citrus fruits. There are three reasons why we are taking this Charat Palai mountain road. The main reason is that we want to take road footage on a motorbike to get a clearer picture of the gorgeous mountain road scenery along the way. Secondly, since we are using a motorbike, we cannot use the Swat motorway because motorbikes are not allowed on tolled motorways or expressways here in Pakistan. Finally, as we are going to Swat Valley, the Charat Palai top road is the shortest route to take when driving from Katlang in Madan. It is much shorter in distance than using that Swat motorway. The Thana Swat Valley Road, which you will see in the later part of this video, is in a nicely maintained asphalt road condition. Unlike the Thana Road, this Charat Palai portion of the road is utterly risky, if not totally dangerous for any motorist. Besides being bumpy due to poor maintenance, this narrow road sits on a dangerous cliffs throughout its length. Should a motorist lose control of the steering wheel, he would likely fall off the ravine. This being said, travel on this road is only recommended at daytime. And when it's raining, extra care has to be taken because the road will be slippery due to the gushing rainwater that pours down from the higher portion of the road down to the foot of the mountain. And driving along this road at night time is absolutely not recommended for obvious reasons. Despite the dangers that this road may pose to travelers, however, some motorists bound for Islamabad or Peshawar coming from the lower Dir in Swat Valley and vice versa still prefer using this road compared to taking the Batkela, Dargai and Mardan route. The Thana Palai route is still time-saving. Besides being a diversion route, it also has less traffic congestion. Aside from the three main reasons for taking this Charat Palai top road, which were mentioned earlier, the panoramic view of this mountain road is simply irresistible. From the foot of this mountain all the way to the peak, the scenery is just ridiculously stunning. As you can see around here, there isn't much that can be seen on this place except boulders upon boulders of rocks that merely hold back the soil from eroding downward. But those rock formations are what make this mountain road undeniably panoramic. Way back in the 1970s, This place, which is now called the Malakand District, previously it was a tribal area known only as the Malakand Protected Area, which is part of the Malakand Agency. In that same year, the Malakand District also became part of the Malakand Division. The Malakand District has a total land area of 952 square kilometers and has a population density of 596 people per square kilometer. In 2004 to 2005, the district's population was estimated to be around 567,000 people. Most of this district's inhabitants are Pashtuns, who speak the Pashto language as mother tongue. Their livelihood mainly consists of agriculture, trade, and public service. Among the Pashtun tribes, the Uthman Kel is the largest among them, consisting 65% of its inhabitants. Another notable tribe, the Yusufzai, occupies a part of the Malakand, while towards the south, at the bottom of Malakand Pass, live the Ranizai tribe known as Sam Ranizai. The district of Malakand borders the Palai with Mardan District to the east, Shergar with Mardan District to the south, Bangla Harichan with Charsadda District to the southeast, Pranggar with Mohman Agency to the west, and Salai Pati with Bajaur Agency to northwest, Chakdara with Lower Dir District, and Swat to the north. Malakand District lies in a strategically important position as it acts as a gateway to Bajaur, Lower Dir, Swat, and Bunir. It is surrounded by the mountains that were overgrown with different kinds of trees in the past, though they have a barren look today. As barren as it may, this place has left an important imprint in history that carved the name of a former British cavalry officer who turned British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and who was assigned in this area and witnessed one of the fiercest battles in history that transpired between the British forces and the ferocious Pashtun warriors. But long before the British came to this Pashtun heartland, about 400 years ago, this place was ruled by the Sikh Empire, which established a nominal rule over this area under the authority of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. After the fall of the Sikh rule, it became independent under the Pashtun tribal rule until the arrival of the British. In 1895, when the British needed the passage of post to Chitral, they approached the elders of Malakand Agency to allow the passage of post to Chitral, which was then under the administrative sphere of the British Gilgit. However, the chief of Ranizai tribe, Malak Sadat Khan of Khar, rejected these requests after getting consensus from the chieftains of other Pashtun tribes of Khar, Batkela, Aladan Deri, Dari Julagran, and Matkanai Potakan. Such rejection was made accordingly in obedience to the rule of Khan Umar Khan of Jandu, who lived between 1860 to 1904, and who was regarded as the Pashtun chief on the northwestern frontier of British India, which is now called the province of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and which was regarded by the West as the Napoleon of the Pathans or the Pashtuns. Such request was rejected because the great Khan Umar Khan of Jandu was wary of the advance of the British forces towards the Pashtun lands. Meanwhile, the British signed a backdoor agreement with the Aslam Khan and Inayat Khan of Thana, Sadat Khan of Aladan, and Sarbilan Khan of Palai to allow the post to pass in exchange for a considerable amount of money to be paid yearly to each of them. Later, however, the British had to deal with a bigger problem. When a British officer and his men were besieged in Chitral, one of the districts of today's Malakand Division, by the Chitralists under the command of Sher Afzal in cooperation with the Umara Khan of Jandur, the British forces needed to reinforce their comrades. To be able to reinforce their forces there, they needed a route to Chitral bypassing the Gilgit-Chitral Road, the only road available at that time but was inaccessible because it was covered with snow. The British force had no option left except to pass through Malakand Agency, the so-called today's Malakand District that passes through the Malakand Pass. It was for this very reason that this Charat Palai road was constructed by the British. At the time of their occupation, this road was the only route accessible to the Swat Valley that leads to Chitral without passing the snow-covered Gilgit route. But the British later laid siege to the so-called Malakand Pass, and as a result, the Pashtun tribes fought back bravely enough and offered stubborn resistance to the enemy under the leadership of Malak Sadat Khan of Khar. The Pashtun fighters overran the strongly guarded British forts of Malakand and Chakdara twice. After the siege, the Pashtun tribesmen unearthed 36 bodies of fallen British and Indian soldiers hastily buried a few days earlier in unmarked graves and mutilated them beyond recognition. Winston Churchill, when entering the ruins of the village of Desemdulla in the Mohman Valley, described this phenomenon in his article for the Daily Telegraph on September 22, 1897, as horrible and revolting. Meanwhile, the Pashtun casualties are unknown, but some estimates are as high as 10,000. In January 1898, the British Malakand Field Force was officially disbanded and the soldiers returned to their garrisons. Since then, the British intervened in the politics of the area. A political agent was stationed at Malakand to mediate between the British and the people of the area. What could probably remind us today of this ferocious battle in history are the two surviving forts that are still found in Malakand and Chakdara today. Both were first built by the locals but later upgraded by the British to fortify their position and ensure the safety of the strategically important Chitral Road for the British forces.